Hi guys, welcome to Charities Bubble USA, your #1 channel. I hope you're doing fine. I'm also doing very good. Still very cold, guys. Very cold. So I want to do a video about some things. I'm going to talk about two things. I'm going to talk about a question about the visa fees, and the other question about I think I have like 3 questions that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly consider subscribing. We need to reach those 10,000 subscribers, so I'm counting on you guys, and thank you for your support. Thank you for always watching my videos and giving me feedback. And if you're new here, my name is Charity Nganga, and this is Charities Bubble USA, your #1 channel. Please subscribe. Please like my videos. It doesn't cost you anything to like a video. It doesn't, guys. So please, when you watch my video, give it a thumbs up, make a comment, ask a question, and you know, that's the kind of way like to give feedback. So guys, there was this person who was asking about the fee, the visa fees. And so when you win your green card and you're going to pay your visa fees, it's individual, guys. It's not like you're paying for one person. Everything is individual. For the if you're a family, if it's the wife, the husband, and the kids, everybody pays individually. Even the fees for the medical, everybody pays individually. And I need you guys to get that one, because that's very important for you to know. They see these are the one who asked about school. You know, when you read of the rules of the DV lottery, if you haven't gone to high school, it disqualifies you. It does. But if you have a spouse who has gone to high school, then your spouse can do the application, and you can like you can be the second derivative. So that means you qualify through your spouse. Now, the other thing is that yes, you can, maybe you didn't go to high school, but you have a work experience of a certain, maybe, but you have to look at their website, because their requirements. When I look at all those courses, most of them people have gone for training, and you know, it's a little bit a higher thing. It's not just that you went and maybe you are a hairdresser or a barber and it qualifies. No, it doesn't. It has to be a certain job category, guys. So it's important. You can do that. But when it comes to the work, you know, I was looking at the work experience, and the only thing that I saw there that was closer to, you know, I look at Africa, I look at Kenya, and look at the education system and see what did a person do that qualifies in the DV lottery work or whatever. And they are very limited, guys, very limited. But if you have the work experience for work like an interior designer, then you can do that. You can do that. You can do the application. Now, my main topic, so that's just by the way, like the questions that people have asked. There's another person who was telling me that an EB3 visa is the same as a green card lottery, whatever, permanent resident card. You might have the card, guys, but the rules are very different. Very different. And that's why it is categorized with that name. Even if you read more about those EB2, EB3 visas, you find that if someone has an EB2 visa, if you compare it with an EB3 visa, those are the visas that you get to come and work here, or for employment, or whatever you want to call it. They have different categories. So if me as a green card holder who came here with a DV lottery, did apply to apply for my citizenship or whatever, and then we went together with the person for an EB3, their process, it takes much more longer. Those are some of the differences. It doesn't mean that simply that you came with your EB3 visa or whatever, and then you, like, it's exactly like a DV lottery green card. No, it's not. You might have the card. I'm not saying that you don't have the card, but the rules are different, guys. And go and see the differences, because they're there. The differences. They will do more research before they give you. They allow you to become a citizen. You see what I mean? If maybe you want to petition for someone, it takes longer time. It takes more scrutiny. So that's why it cannot be the same. Because if all of them were the same, then they would not have different names. So they're different. So when I say that they're different, they are very, very, very different. So you cannot say, and it's a good visa, they be, especially if you come here as a nurse or whatever, you have come here to work. But the thing is, you will have that card that allows you to work. But when you read intensely about the differences, they're there, guys. So I don't want to argue so much about that, but that's how it is. And that's why they are classified into different categories. They have differences, you know. If you look at another, like an EB5 visa, is very, very, very different. And the rules are very different. So guys, I hope you're getting what I'm saying. Now, so it doesn't mean that because you have that in EB3 visa and you have applied for your citizenship or whatever after 5 years or 10 years that you have gotten it. That's a similarity, but the differences are there, guys. So go read about that stuff so that you can know what is the difference between this visa and that visa and this visa and that visa. Very, very, very important, guys, that you have to do that. It's very, very important. Now let me talk about so I needed to talk about I should have gone through the other way, but it's okay. I'll join another highway. It's fine. It's gonna redirect me. So I want to talk about driving here in the US, because I know some of my videos you've seen me, I do them when I am driving to save my time, because when I sit down I like to study. I only have a short time and I'm praying. I need you guys to pray for me. I'm working very hard so that I finish this semester and I pass the exam, and then I can do something different. That's my goal. So that's why I am at this time. But I want to talk about driving, especially for those people who want to come in to live in the US, and you are not planning to go to New York and live there. Because if you're planning to go to the New York, you really, 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 really don't need a car, unless you are living in the areas that are not fast. Because it doesn't mean that when you see New York City, you see all those big buildings and everything looks like that. No, it doesn't. There are some remote areas in New York. If you're going there, then well and good. You will still need to have a car. But if you're living in within the vicinity, within the city, you find that then you really don't need a car, because sometimes parking is a problem. Now, why I'm saying that there are remote areas in Canada, in US, you find that there was a time that we had gone to Niagara Falls. Actually, we have gone twice, and so where the border is, like where the pathway that we passed through, because we drove, we didn't go by the airplane, we drove. So where we went to stay, it was just how many? 40 minutes from New York City, and at that point it was just a regular place where you will need your car to go from point A to point B. So regardless of where you are living, it's very, very, very important for you, whether you have won the DV lottery, whether you are coming with what kind of visa, to know how to drive a car, guys. Now that's important. You must know how to drive a car. Now, this is the reason. You might say that I don't need to know how to drive a car, because when I go, my host is going to teach me with their car, which can work. And I'm not saying that it cannot work. It can work. But there could be a disadvantage to that. And you do not want to delay, guys. What you want to do is that when you come in, you know how to drive a car, the first thing that you will be required to do when you come, of course, you'll go and get your social. The social doesn't take long to come out. It just takes just a short time. So when you get your social, then you will go and get your driver's license, your driver's permit, whatever. So of course they will expect you to do a written test, whereby you have to pass, I think you only miss, I can't remember how many questions you're supposed to miss. I think you're only supposed to miss 4 questions. And then after you pass that, they're gonna do your eye test, whereby they'll give you some numbers to read to know if you can see very well. And then they will do a driving test. You must do a driving test. So where does the hurdle come in? Because where does a challenge come in when you come to the US and you do not know how to drive a car? Like where does the problem come in? And I wouldn't say that it's a problem necessarily. It is the way here it is structured. For example, I have my car. Eric has his car. My husband has his car. You find that when you go to here, all the cars, they must be insured. You must have insurance. If you have a car that you went and got a loan and got the car and you're making payments, actually that one you will have something called comprehensive insurance that covers your car, and it covers the other car that maybe you might get into an accident with. If you have a car that maybe you are lucky and someone sold you a car for like $2,000 or maybe $3,000 or whatever, or maybe you had someone who was kind enough to give them their car because they weren't using it, then you still have to pay a license. You still have to pay for your insurance, and that is after you have passed your driver's test. So let's assume that you have come here in the US and you do not know how to drive, and you have an expectation because your host has a car. It's automatic that your host is gonna teach you how to drive. Now that might not work very well. It might be a negative impact. Yes, you will know how to drive, but it's gonna take time because the cars, like, so I talked about insurance. You find that when you go to get your insurance, they normally ask you for the name that is authorized to drive that car. Like for example, this car of mine, I am authorized, my husband is authorized, right? If it's Eric's car, he's authorized by himself. So where the problem comes in is here. You don't know how to drive, and you're being taught how to drive, which you really need to know how to drive, especially if you're coming to a place like Kansas. You have, like, your car is gonna be your feet. That's for sure. Like for sure, you must have a car. So when your host looks at the dynamics involved in the insurance, so they're like, yes, we're gonna go drive. What if the car had an accident? Because he can, and I'm not saying that even a perfect person cannot make an accident. They can, but what happens if there was an accident and the person who was driving that car was not authorized to drive it? Because you have to be authorized, guys. Then what happens? You either end up not being paid by the insurance, and of course, even if you can fight your case or whatever, depending on, I don't know, but you have to follow the rules. That's how I know. Like, if you are authorized, the first thing that the insurance is gonna ask you is who was driving the car. They look at their records. Is that person authorized? So the host is always worried when they give you their car, and you do not, your name is not authorized to drive that car, because they expect the person who is paying for the insurance or the person who is authorized to drive their car. So that person might end up losing because they did not follow the rules. Now that is like the insurance that I have. That's how it's set up. So there's that authorization thing. And I do remember there was a time that when my son was starting to drive, so we have had our insurance for a longer time, and then my son was eligible to drive, at least I think at 16 he was driving. So we had decided that we were going to add him to our insurance, add his name. And we were thinking, when we add his name, although he had his own car, we add his name and it becomes like an insurance for the whole family. What happened is that the rate for the insurance rose very high. It became very, very, very high because the teenagers, they are charged more. Especially boys, you know, they're charged a lot more than the regular people. Like someone like me, if I went to get my insurance and a 21-year-old went to get their insurance, or 18-year-old, it's gonna be very, very, very different, guys. So we decided to have him by himself and then us by ourselves. And I still remember that he was paying close to $380 for insurance, which was like ridiculous, but that's what happens. So you do not want to wait until you get your own money, because the host is looking at this, and then in case an accident happens, the insurance goes up. They have to pay a deductible $500 for the car to be repaired. Even if the insurance is going to pay the other money, you will still have to pay that money. So when the host looks at all those dynamics, and that's something that you learn when you come to the US, you will find that sometimes they will not be able to teach you how to drive with their car. And are you gonna understand? Sometimes you might not, because you do not know the system. But after you have stayed for a longer time, then you will understand why didn't that person teach me how to drive with their car and they had it. You see what I mean? So it's important. If you have won your DV lottery right now, I hope I am talking to someone, or you want to come and live in the US, first thing you know how to drive a car, know how to steer to the front. When you go to the road, to steer to the front, at least know this is where I'm supposed to, these are the parts of a car, this is where I'm supposed to put my leg, this is where I'm supposed to put my hands, this is where my mirrors should be. All that information is vital, because if you really do not know how to drive, it's gonna take you time, because you have gotten a job, and then after you get a job, then you will have to raise a little bit of capital, maybe like $500 or $1,000, and then your host is gonna take you, and you guys are gonna, your host can be kind enough and they can consign with you, and then you will be able to have your own car. Now when you have your own car, then that is when you will know how to drive. That's one alternative that you can do. Number two, let's assume you are coming and you don't know how to drive, and you have money. Then you have the option to go to driving school, which is gonna be a little bit more expensive than if you had done it when you were back in Africa, because it's gonna be very, very expensive, and they don't teach you for long. They only teach you like for an hour. I do remember when we came in, I had to go to driving school because I did not even know like anything about cars or even driving or whatever. So I had to go to driving school. So what does that do? It delays your time, guys. It delays your independence, because some of these states that we are living in, you have to be independent. And even when you come here and live, you will find that people are used to being by themselves and like doing their own thing, that there is all that independence. So you will feel the need. Maybe you want to go somewhere, like right now we can't go anywhere much because it's very, very cold. So we are not going anywhere much, but you will have, even when you are new and you came in, you did your test and you pass, the first thing that you will go and get is a car. You see what I mean? And if you know how to drive, guys, you will go and you're gonna do your test, because you must do your test first. The first thing you do before you go to buy a car, you must have a driver's license, an authorized driver's license, because if you don't know how to drive, they will give you something called an instruction permit. I'm not sure how long that lasts, but that one, instruction permit, means that you don't know how to drive yet. It's just an ID. So that delays your time of progress, because when you're coming to here, you have to be on the go. You know, it doesn't mean that because you came to the US that the vacation has started. No, work has started, because you're starting a new life. Very new from what you know, very new system, a place where like time, like right now I'm going to see another friend of mine and I am 10 minutes late. That is not good. I had to text her. I'm 10 minutes late. So what am I saying? I'm saying that you are coming to a new culture where even time matters. Really, really, really. The time matters. So if you haven't done those things, pre-coming, before you come, pre is before, then it's gonna take, yes, you will settle, but it's gonna take you more time. So I want you guys to start knowing how to drive. You have to. If you got your DV lottery, know how to drive. A woman, a man. Because, and then you can say, you know, there can be an incident where you say that, oh, I'm not gonna learn how to drive because my husband knows how to drive, so he will be driving me everywhere. It doesn't work like that, guys. You have to have your own car when you come to the US. Because you don't work the same schedule. You work very, very, very different schedules. And when you're working these different schedules, you will need, maybe you have kids, you will need to go and pick them up. Maybe you want to go to the store to buy food, or maybe you are going somewhere. So that independence is needed because people exist here in the US in different timelines. There's some people who work at night, others work during the day. So it will be very, very, very hard for you guys to be sharing a car. It's gonna be hard, guys. I hope you are understanding these things, because I want by the time you are coming in here, like you are on the go, and have that mindset that when you're coming in, you have come to start a new life. And to make it easier for yourself, know how to drive. You must know how to drive, guys. You must. It's very, very, very important. So I hope that that's gonna help. I know it takes a lot of money for processing, especially right now when there is inflation going on everywhere. But still, that's an important part that you have to fulfill, knowing how to drive. So the money is a lot. Like I said, there was a question about how much you have to pay for those visas for your family members. You can fill out in your DS-260 that you will come before, and then you will get your family back 6 months before 6 months have expired. But you still have to look at the timelines, because when you're given the visa, it is gonna last for 6 months, and then after these 6 months, you don't want it to expire. So by the time that you're being sent to your 2NL and you are thinking of going to the embassy, then you should be ready. You should be very ready, so that at the end of the day, you can be on time. So guys, I hope that this video is gonna help. I really, really felt like I wanted to talk about that, because I know it's important. I like to talk about how you can be successful. So guys, I hope that this video is gonna help. Thank you, and God bless you.